not only with control and the fact that putting nuclear weapons in space is illegal, and the fact that we will get shut down by the UN and by other committees who believe that nuclear weapons in space is a bad idea, but we'll all end up dying if we build this system, and not because of asteroids. If asteroids come, the system will deflect them into the Earth. We've already established that. Not only that, but even if an asteroid doesn't come, we will die. We've been dealing in possibilities and probabilities so far. This is definite. We have a 100% chance of dying if you three approve the spending of this $250 billion to produce this. Now, this statement, this captures the Bush administration's approach to space dominance. It captures the Bush administration's approach to building systems for space. They conducted a study called the Air Force 2025 study. They created an entire division of the government, the United States Space Commission, which oversaw much of the money spending in the United States Air Force, to conduct one study to determine what will happen in 2025. And their only major finding was that space will be to air as to cavalry. Now what that means is that their finding was that for the U.S. military to function in the future, the U.S. needs to militarize space. Now don't think that foreign countries haven't read this study. Don't think that they don't know that the Bush administration was planning to weaponize space. Don't think that they haven't recognized the fact that the Bush administration has stopped repeatedly other countries from putting their own systems into space because the U.S. wants space to be our own private little domain so that we can be the only country to nuke other people from space. The rest of the world knows we do this, and the rest of the world knows that any system we put into space is probably just a platform for future weapon systems. So if we do that, it will be perceived as weaponization by countries such as China, Russia, and Iran. China has released official statements saying that any system we build is weaponization of space. Now, what happens if they think that we've weaponized space? This is what happens. They build nukes. Russia will stop disarming. The U.S. will stop disarming. China will see that as weakness from their part. They will build more nuclear weapons. China has already built a large number of nuclear weapons. They've proven their ability to rapidly produce nuclear weapons, to produce anything industrially. So China will proliferate. Iran will proliferate. India will proliferate. All of Asia will proliferate. Then smaller countries around the world will see this proliferation as dangerous. Smaller countries can't produce large nuclear weapons and large nuclear programs, so they just destabilize. You end up with anti-satellite systems, with small terrorist-type activities. The entire thing begins to look like a very destabilized planet. China will react to that. Russia will react to that, especially them because they're communists, so they can't handle danger. This is what happens when proliferation happens, when you get destabilization. You end up with the Cuban Missile Crisis, only this time it's on a global scale. We know that in the 90s, China stole lots of nuclear secrets in the U.S., probably due to some inside work. They stole secrets to weapons, not only thermonuclear, not only nuclear weapons, but also a weapon that the U.S. military is calling the neutron bomb. No one is actually sure whether it's a real device, whether it really works, but it probably does, and it's probably far more potent than anything that could have happened in the 60s. If this happens, not only does the world have the capability to go immediately into a global nuclear war, it will happen. It's a guarantee. I can tell you, I have 2 PhDs in political sciences. I have 3 PhDs in art history. So I know that artwork about this, like pictures like the picture I'm about to show y'all, will influence the world's decisions. We will end up in a nuclear war. That's definite. That is a 100% chance. There is a very small chance of any asteroid ever hitting us. But there is a 100% chance we end up with global nuclear war. Now what happens at the end of that? We all die. Freedom goes away, America's gone, and it's over. There are certain reasons why other countries, enemies of the U.S., would survive the nuclear war. We won't. So, this is not what we want. If we build a system, this is what we end up with. We end up with, and for those of you who can't read Russian, that says Soviet motherland. That says Soviet motherland. Okay? That's what that says. There is a very simple solution to this. We don't build the system. If an asteroid does show up, we haven't built the system. It's very, very easy to deal with that. We can quickly survey the mineshaft space of the United States. We hide underground, get the American people underground. We've already had testimony that a quarter of the world's population will die. I call those acceptable and moderate casualties. I can guarantee you, based on another PhD I have in military strategy, that only 10 to 20 million Americans will die if we just hide from the asteroid underground. Now that is far better than the entire country being wiped out by a nuclear war. Not to mention the fact that not everyone dies immediately. In a nuclear war, the majority of the casualties are people dying from radiation sickness. That's far worse than just being incinerated. Yeah, incineration lasts seconds. Radiation sickness lasts months, and that's what will happen if we build the system. Children will die, your pets will die, it'll be infinite suffering.
2 minutes?
What if we don't use nuclear energy?
What is that? What does this have to do with asteroids at all?
Did you not watch the presentation, Ben?
But you seem like you're just making stuff
What
up
sources
now.
do you have to justify this? Because it seems like a lot of speculation.
The Air Force 2025 study, Wade L. Huntley, a senior lecturer at the National Security Affairs Department at the Naval Postgraduate School, has conducted numerous studies into this. Let's see, Brian Wheaton, the technical consultant.
Where are your
for
degrees
World-
from?
Where are my degrees from? Okay, see my political science
So,
degrees.
you can ask,
I don't know, ACC can't have PhDs.
ask real questions.
One minute?
Do you think it's... Never mind.
How does paranoia justify an asteroid? Won't hit, sir.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
How does paranoia justify that an asteroid won't hit?
I did not say that an asteroid would not die. I said that if the asteroid hits, we will deal with it. Acceptable and moderate casualties. Listen, I'm not saying that we won't get our haramus, but I'm saying 10 to 20 million dead, tops, depending on the breaks. Asteroids, let me remind you, are badly coordinated.
What if you're one of the die?
So be it, the rest of the country survives.
You're not gonna lose your action.
I'll be dead. Dead people can't feel emotions.
Oh, now I want to go talk about dead people.
If you want to talk about dead people, I will talk about dead
You
people.
ever seen the movie The Sixth Sense?
Order ends at time.
Did you expand on what you were talking about, how other countries would survive, like the US would?
Okay. The main the main group who will survive any nuclear war. Numerous studies have been carried out in Washington and Montana because those are empty states where we can drop nukes. And we can't do it in atolls anymore in the ocean because Godzilla. But the point is, we've done these tests. We know that communists survive radiation. Now, we're not sure why, but we do know that cockroaches survive radiation. So, I'm not a scientist. I don't know why communists can survive radiation, but they can, and that that's what happens. I have studies. I can bring you studies.
So you were talking about how if the asteroid were to hit, then like we could go underground. So are you like, could that possibly be another defense system?
Yes,
Like
but
the
it won't
start.
cost $250 billion. Now, once we hide underground, there is the potential that after we come up from the ground that we have to provide food. Now, they have argued that there will be a decreased amount of sunlight, but several scientists at the University of Michigan have succeeded at genetically modifying plants to produce black chlorophyll. Now, what that means is it's significantly more efficient than current plants, and even with drastically reduced amounts of sunlight, we can produce crop yield necessary to feed the entire planet. Not to mention the fact that we can probably get some sort of nutrient from extremophiles who would be able to survive